Warning: the content of the video that you are about to watch pertains to the harvest of fur-bearing wildlife through the practice of ethical, sound wildlife management of modern-day trapping. If this bothers you, if it triggers you in any way, shape, or form, please leave this channel now. Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. Guys, I'm asking you, please bear with me just a little bit today. I got the flu, not feeling the best, but I thought I would take just a minute here to try to answer a few questions I've been getting, especially pertaining to antifreeze methods. As far as when the snow's as bad as it is, when the cold's like it is, I get a lot of questions, guys asking me about antifreeze methods. Okay, the best thing that you can use is either wax dirt or cold shell, all right? Bar none. Those two right there are the best things you can use, as close to being bulletproof as you can get. If for some reason you don't have any or have access to any, either one, then dry barn dirt works fine for a while. And I've had a question about using calcium chloride or urea or salt. Okay, those all work fine. I don't personally like them myself because that set always has a wet look to it. And here's the thing about it too. If you're using salt, urea, calcium chloride, when those traps come out of the ground, then you absolutely, at the end of the season, have to get those things power washed. You have to get them treated somehow, whether it's, I don't care what your method of treatment is, whether it's dye and wax or just dye or just wax or you paint them, whatever it might be. You've got to get that salt off there because that stuff is very corrosive and it will eat those traps up. Plain and simple. So you got to get that stuff off of them. Whether you boil them, whether you take them to car wash, whatever it might be. Then you need to get them treated. And like I said, you can paint them, you can dye them, you can wax them, you can dye and wax them, whatever your preferred method is, and that's what you need to do. But it needs to be done as soon as possible after the end of the season. Okay, and the thing up to when you're using salt, that you have to make sure that you're getting non-iodized salt. Okay, you can't just go to the store and get regular table salt. And here's the reason why. That iodine has an odor to it. All right, I can smell it. I know dang good and well they can smell it too. So you want to get plain salt, whether it's stock salt, whether it's plain salt from the store, because they've two different kinds there. They've got iodized and non-iodized. And you have to make sure it's non-iodized, okay? It cannot have that iodine in it. That will eliminate a lot of the problem for you. And what I have also done is taken a half a bucket full of just sand, and it doesn't matter. It can be wet, dry, it doesn't matter. Just sand, and fill it up with good, strong saltwater solution. Now, as you go down the road, as you're traveling, the sand's going to go down, the water's going to come up, so you got to stir it up every time. But when you do that, stir it up, mix it up good. When you're bedding that trap, get that underneath the trap and get it over top of the trap too, okay? It's very important. You've got to get it sealed underneath, and you've got to get something over top of it both ways. Otherwise, it's going to freeze from the bottom down, all right? Or actually from the bottom up. But what happens then is that water will evaporate away, and then the salt and the sand will stay there. And it works very well. I mean, it works awesome. You can pack the hell out of a trap with that stuff, and it works great. It's just a pain in the butt to try to use because it's always separating. Like I said, you got to constantly stir it up, but it does work. Anyway, hopefully this is just a few things that will answer some questions, and you guys can have a successful season out of this. And I know this kind of weather sucks, and I get it. But it's not any, and anytime you come up against Mother Nature, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose. But there are things that we can do to try to keep working and try to keep things operating. All right, some of the other questions I've been getting are from new beaver trappers, especially new beaver trappers in the South. And their biggest question is, well, I'm not seeing any cutting. I'm not seeing any chewing. Guys, a lot of times in the South, you don't see a whole lot of chewing. And the reason why is those beaver eat more grass than they do anything else. Yes, you'll see where they'll come along at a cypress knee or a sweet gum tree, and they'll take a big chunk out of it, and they'll pull it back, and there'll be a shiny spot there where they strip the bark. My thoughts, now I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but my thoughts are they're using those as landmarks, okay? You don't ever see them chewing on cypress much, and you don't see them chewing on sweet gum much either, at least not in my experience. I think those are a bitter tasting tree, and you just don't see them eating them. Willows, maples, cottonwoods, those kind of things, that's a different story. But the reason you don't see a lot of chewing in the South, I believe, is because they eat more grass than they do anything else. I've seen where they big slides going out into wheat fields to eat that young tender winter wheat as it's coming up. Saw a place down in Louisiana this time where they had dug holes way back. I mean way back into the field, and then come out into the field to get that winter wheat. All right, they don't do a lot of chewing in the South. Yes, they do have to in order to keep their teeth wore down, but it's not that often. So just because you're not seeing a whole lot of chewing doesn't mean there isn't beaver there. Generally speaking, in the South, in my experience, if there's water, chances are there's beaver there. So just because you're not seeing, you look on Facebook at all those big beaver ponds up north, and they've all got big chewings and big feed lodges and that kind of stuff. Well, that's because those beaver have to. All right, they've got to do that in order to survive. Your beaver in the South don't have that problem. They don't have to worry about it too often much. Now, right now, yes, they're locked under for the most part. And that's all across the South. They're locked under the ice. But it isn't going to be a day or two. And then they'll be, it's supposed to get 50-some degrees again for y'all pretty quick. So it won't take long and they'll be back out. So just because you don't see a lot of chewing doesn't mean there isn't any beaver there. Some of the signs you need to look for in the South is castor mounds. That's the biggest thing. Castor mounds, lodges, dams, those kind of things. If you find, you'll even see down there the dams are made out of grass more than they are sticks and stuff. It's very seldom do you see one that's made out of sticks. Once in a while, but most of it's mud and grass. So just because you're not seeing a lot of chewing doesn't mean there isn't beaver there. So anyway, guys, I apologize. I'm not feeling great at all, and I hope this video's helped some of y'all and answer some questions for you. If you would, please just hit that thumbs up for me. That's all I'm asking. Once again, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.